Very good afternoon to all of you. Any doubt from the previous lecture? Where we left the discussion?
Excuse me, sir.
International Society School, right?
Excuse me, sir.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Hanji.
Sir, how is US an integration factor for the European states?
US as?
Integrating factor for the European states.
Because it was in the interest of US. US has pushed a lot towards the creation of EU. If we study the formation of it started as EU, the kind of EU which is prevalent at present. It was not like this. It was European Steel Community. It started as ESC. Okay. European Steel Community. European Coal and Steel Community. Okay. And then there was a lot of push came from US towards the integration of the European economies as it was in the interest of US. In this respect, we are saying that regional integration requires the support of some external power, because for both EU and ASEAN, integration of EU and ASEAN was in the interest of US.
All right, sir.
Okay.
Excuse
How
me,
it has
sir.
done, it's a long process. Yes, Vaishnav.
Sir, my doubt is similar to, like, related to Sujiti's only. So you had said that European cooperation during the interwar years was more than that during the Cold War order. But like just now you were saying that the integration process had started during the Cold War order and they were economically cooperating. So why are
So
we saying that
depending,
during interwar years it was more?
not we are saying, there's a data to support that. There's a data. If you see the data, the countries of the European countries or the European countries, European economy, they were having much more trade with each other. Okay. During the Cold War, there was what Winston Churchill said, that there is Europe has divided and there is Iron Curtain has fallen. Okay. There was no vibrant trade as such between Western European and Eastern European countries. Okay. During the interwar period, there was much more vibrant economic engagement as per the data. Okay. So not out of the blue, we are saying this. This statement is having the backing of data. Okay. The statement from where I have taken in the book, it is clearly mentioned. If you want, I can share that data also, that what kind of trade quantitatively prevailing between the European countries during interwar period and during the Cold War, there was, if we compare from that time period, there was lack of intra-regional trade between the European states. And that vindicates the view of the realists. What prevented Cold War to remain cold? Balance of power, not economic interdependence, because economic interdependence was more during interwar period, but still it led to Second World War. So interdependence has never been able to prevent war. What has able to prevent war is balance of power or nuclear deterrence. And deterrence is also the way of what? Power balancing. Though liberals criticize, balancing through deterrence is not power balancing, it is terror balancing. Okay. In continuation to this, where we left the discussion, thus,
Sir,
Hanji.
sir, 2 days back I bought the book Global Politics जो एंड्रू हेवर्ड वाली है.
तो सर
हम्म,
मुझे उसकी मतलब अप्रोच नहीं पता, सब ऐसे पूछ रहे थे कि उसको साथ में पढ़ना है या बाद में पढ़ना है, तो सर
साथ
उसके
में
बारे
पढ़ना
में
है,
बता दो, बुक्स के बारे में।
साथ में पढ़ना है, साथ में। रीड चैप्टर बाय चैप्टर। Okay, you just have to read the book with the class discussions. Okay, start reading that book. लिखो, does this theory suggest that? Does this theory suggest that international system international system has changed? International system has changed. So for realist, international, what prevails in international system? Anarchy. They are saying international system has changed, and what prevails is not simply the system of states. Underline the word system of states. What prevails is not simply the system of states. Rather, so within system of states prevail anarchy. Okay. What prevails is not simply system of states, because within system of states prevail anarchy. Within system of states prevail security dilemma, which has led to what? Anarchy. Rather, what prevails is the society of states. What prevails is the society of states. That's why the name of the school is International Society School. Okay. What prevails is society of states. And within society of states, there is anarchical society. That is society where there are few norms, rules, and regulations. Okay. Rather, what prevails is society of states who are conscious of certain common interests, and values. Next bullet point. According to Bull, states are conscious. States are conscious of certain common interest, and they conceive themselves to be bound by common set of rules, conceive themselves to be bound by the common set of rules in their relation with one another. Common set of rules in their relation with one another, and the elements of society are present. What is the main element of society when we consider a set of people as society? What is the main element of society? Some common norms, values, ठीक है ना? And there are and the elements of society are present and will remain present. Are present and will remain present in international system. You know? So what is the belief of the scholars of ISS? That international system is not only the system of state. International system is society of states. In system of state, what will prevail is anarchy. Okay, and the structure of the world politics has changed towards anarchical society. ठीक है ना, ये याद रखना है. Next bullet point. Thus, this theory rejects the pessimistic view of realist. I hope now it is clear to all of you that this theory is bringing liberalism into realism. Thus, this theory rejects the pessimistic view of realists that states deals with each other. That states deal with each other only on the basis of narrow self-interest. States deal with each other only on the basis of narrow self-interest. Next bullet point. According to Bull, the existing rules and norms So there are some rules and norms, or some rules and norms has emerged and evolved in the international system. The belief of the scholars, yes. The existing rules and norms are constantly being challenged. They are constantly being challenged by the norms of Westphalian world order. Constantly being challenged by the norms of Westphalian world order. Means it is still intact. Existing rules are being challenged by Westphalian world order. But at the same time, it is not as anarchical. It is not as anarchical as projected by the realist. उतना ही बुरा हाल नहीं. It is not as anarchical as projected by the realist. That international politics is an unchanging system of states. International politics is an unchanging system of states. Who has tried to study the structure of world politics? Which realist? Neo-realist. That international politics is anarchical. Okay. That international politics is unchanging system of state that is prone to discords, conflicts, and sooner or later wars. From where? That international politics is an unchanging system of state that is prone to discord, conflicts, and sooner or later war. ठीक है ना? So realists believe what prevails in world politics is systems of states which are suffering from security dilemma, which leads to anarchy. The scholars of this school believe no, the structure of world politics has changed from system of states to society of states. Okay. Next bullet point. Also, this school rejects. So if it is rejecting the view of the realist, it is also rejecting the view of liberals. Also, according to this school, or also this school rejects the liberal optimistic view towards international politics. It rejects the liberal optimistic view towards the world politics, that it is moving towards that it is moving towards an unparalleled human progress. Moving towards an unparalleled human progress and perpetual peace. And perpetual peace. Developing into world community or world society. Developing into world community or world society. World is one common place to live, okay, where everyone needs to abide by some norms, rules, and regulation. Developing into liberal belief that world is moving towards world society, okay, and somehow they became too optimistic that they started saying that we have already reached to this level. So this school is a midway. We are far from becoming a world society, far from creating this society under world government. Till what point we have reached this anarchical society. So it is liberating or bringing liberal values into realism. Okay. Next bullet point. Thus, theory of ISS is a midway or it's a middle way. Theory of ISS is a middle way or a midway, and it occupies a position between liberalism and realism. Occupies a position between liberalism and realism, and it regards international politics as the society of states. Underline. Regards international politics as society of states, in which principal actors are. So this theory believes who are major principal actors? Sovereign state. So it also believes major actors are sovereign state. That's why it comes under classical theory of IR. Sociological liberals gives more emphasis to which actor? Non-state actor. Liberal institutionalist gives importance to which actor? International institutions and organizations. Realists give emphasis to which actor? State. This theory is also giving emphasis to state. Okay, na? In which principal actors are sovereign states. And thus, this theory considers sovereign states to be the foundation of world politics. Considers sovereign states to be the foundation of world politics. Next bullet point.
Sir, sovereign states?
To be the foundation of world politics. Now, in exam, whatever question has been asked on this theory or the school of ISS, till this point of discussion, you can address all the question which has already been asked. What all now we are going to discuss further in this school is a bit of extra information for you. Though no question has been asked by UPSC beyond this particular point of our discussion. Okay, so on ISS, whatever the questions UPSC has asked in the previous year, we can answer all those questions with this much of knowledge and understanding. ठीक है ना, अब ये beyond है हमारा स्कोप कि कल को और इससे बड़ा क्वेश्चन ना आ जाए एग्जाम में. ठीक, लिखो. Bull has also regarded the role of IGOs, that is intergovernmental organizations, IGOs and IOs, international organizations. Role of IGOs and IOs and NGOs, non-governmental organizations. But according to Bull, so he has given emphasis, he has accepted they also have their role to play. But according to Bull, they are subordinate to sovereign states. Subordinate to sovereign states. So, liberals has given more role to them or central role to them. Realist has given very less importance to them. And realist has given more and more importance to whom? States. ISS is giving central role to whom? States. That's why ISS is more close to realist and realism. ठीक है? Make a note, table बनाओ एक. Right, within international relation, within world politics, within international relation, there are two types of scholars. Pluralist. These pluralists has nothing to do with the earlier pluralist. That is where we have discussed pluralist theory of sovereignty. Who are the pluralists which has given the pluralist theory of sovereignty? And who has given the pluralist theory of sovereignty? Lasky, moderate pluralist. Who is extreme pluralist? McIver. ठीक है ना? Other than pluralist theory of sovereignty, what other pluralist theory we have discussed? Pluralist theory of power or democracy. Who has given pluralist theory of democracy? कोई बात नहीं, ठीक है. तो ये प्लूरलिस्ट अलग है. ये प्लूरलिस्ट कौन से हैं? दीज आर प्लूरलिस्ट IR स्कॉलर्स. ठीक है ना? सो इन IR scholars are defined as, or there are two types of scholars, pluralist and solidarist. As I said, it is the discussion on which UPSC has yet not asked any question. ठीक है ना? So in IR there are two types of scholars, pluralist and solidarist. Right, pluralist scholars emphasize on state sovereignty. ये sovereignty को ज़्यादा emphasize करेंगे. Pluralist scholars emphasize on state sovereignty. And thus for pluralist, the principle of the respect for sovereignty, for pluralists, the principle for the respect for sovereignty and non-intervention always comes first. While solidarist scholars gives more emphasis or importance to the individual. So solidarist scholars, solidarist leaders whose inclination is towards the protection of human rights, who will emphasize more on humanitarian responsibility, will stand for this view that UN should be allowed to intervene in the internal affairs of the state or not, for the protection of individual human rights. While pluralists will say no, state sovereignty is sacrosanct, cannot be undermined. Solidarists give more importance to the individual as they are the ultimate members of international society. As they are the ultimate members of international society. And thus, solidarist will give more importance or emphasis. Solidarist will give more emphasis to human rights. To human rights over state sovereignty. More emphasis to human rights over state sovereignty. Think and answer. What do you think? Bull is more pluralist in its approach or solidarist in its approach? Think. सोच लो.
Sir, he looks like a
बोलो.
sir. He looks
What
like
it
a
looks
mix.
like?
He looks like a mix of both.
अरे mix of both तो है ही. That is what the question is. He looks more as pluralist or solidarist?
Sir, pluralist.
He's more of pluralist. Why?
Focus
Because
on
he
the
thinks who are
states,
the main actors.
the state.
लिखो. ये नोट में लिखना. As most of the Bull's analysis, the pluralists are more close to realist. Realists also emphasize on sovereignty. So pluralists are bound to be realist. Yes. ठीक है ना? And scholars of ISS are more close to realist. ठीक है ना? That's what. तभी मैं बताया क्वेश्चन आया नहीं, but if you write in exam something like this, it will be like a kind of adding value to the school or the theory of ISS. ठीक है? As most of the Bull's analysis is concerned with state,
Can you please repeat the line?
as most of the Bull's analysis is concerned with state. That is why Bull seems more as a pluralist scholar rather than solidarist scholar. However, next bullet point, however, within note लिख लो ये सारी बातें. However, Bull has recognized the importance of individual and Bull has distinguished between international order and world order. What can be difference between international order and world order? World international order between states, and world order between humankind. Everyone is safe. Okay. According to Bull, full stop in condition. According to Bull, international order is the order between the states. तो states के बीच में war नहीं हो रही, but there's a lot of chaos, violence within the state. Can we say if there's a lot of violence going on within the state, we have world order? Let's say there's no war, no violence between the states. Okay, but a lot of chaos and there is a lot of intra-state violence going on world over. Can we say there is a world order? where there is a lot of intra-state violence, but not interstate violence. नहीं ना? The definition peace and security आपका topic है GS3 का internal security. The definition of peace. Earlier, the definition of peace was if a country is not fighting a war, what prevails is peace. Is India in a state of war? But can we say we are having peace? Why we can't say that we are having peace? So much of chaos and Manipur violence going on. ठीक है ना? So much of
internal disputes.
Farmer protest, internal disputes, so much of caste-based, just recent violence in UP, one of the district of UP. So much of violence prevails within the society. So if so much of violence prevails within the states and the societies, can we say we have world order? No, only what we can have is international order, but far from what? World order. According to Bull, international order is the order between the states, while world order is the order among humankind. World order is the order among humankind. Full stop. According to Bull, world order is more fundamental. World order is more fundamental. So when Bull is emphasizing more on world over international order, this is tilting Bull towards which side? Pluralist or solidarist? Solidarist. When he is emphasizing more on world order over international order, this is inching Bull towards solidarist. When he is emphasizing more on states, this clearly reflects he is pluralist in its approach. देखो, according to Bull, world order is more fundamental than international order. Since the ultimate unit of the society, since the ultimate unit of the society are humans, and this is the solidarist inclination. This is solidarist inclination of Bull's theory. So Bull at the same time is both pluralist and solidarist. ठीक है ना? So when Bull emphasize more on state, this reflect Bull is pluralist. But when he is emphasizing on world order over international order, this is the solidarist inclination of Bull's theory. ठीक है? Within note लिखो, the idea of world society. Idea of world society. Aspiration of whom? Liberal. Idea of world society. Right, world society refers to the common interest. नोट में लिख लो ना, आपको बताया ये फर्दर डिस्कशन है ऑन दिस थ्योरी. World society refers to the common interest and the shared values that links humanity and human community. Yeah, it is the common values which make society. When we are saying na, one society, Indian society, Chinese society, okay, yeah, or within society there are so many other societies, okay. So based on what? Based on the value system. Do human community as a whole shared some common values? What these common values could be, which needs to be shared by the humanity altogether? What do you think? Which are the values being hold? Which can be which? What are the values which are being held by the whole of the world, which unites us as a one human community? Empathy, okay. Empathy for the fellow human being is one of the common value. Okay. Any other value? Empathy, kindness, or greed? How can greed be a common value? Okay, na? So you again, if you are saying that human by nature is greedy, you are holding a pessimistic view of human. Okay, na? This becomes realism, Machiavelli, Ligo. So world society refers to common interest and the shared values that links humanity and human community. Full stop. Next bullet point. There is a difference between between the world society, difference between the concept of world society and world empire. Difference between the concept of world society and world empire. Full stop. World empire refers to a world under one imperial sovereign. Refers to a world under one imperial sovereign. So who aspired for world empire? Britain, Alexander, okay. Germany, they all stood for what? World empire. Okay, not world society, connected with common value. Who aspires for world society? That world should be one global village. India shared some common values. So Indian traditional and the cultural values aspire for what? World society. Okay, na? So if world have to be a peaceful place to live, who can show the way forward? And who has always shown this particular path, that which path humanity needs to follow if humanity has to survive and we need world peace? India. Okay. Under one imperial sovereign, to which the population of the world is their subjects. Population of the world is their subject. While world society refers to a universal community of humankind. Refers to a universal community of humankind. In bracket लिख लेना, एग्जाम में कभी मत लिखना, but हाँ लिख भी सकते हो. That is the universal community of humankind. That is India's vision of Vasudev Kutumbakam. That is India's vision of Vasudev Kutumbakam. Next bullet point. The concept of world society is supported by solidarist scholars. Concept of world society is supported by solidarist scholars. Okay. In internal security, there's this thing that threats When we say different types of threats. A threat can be an individual threat. A threat can be a regional threat. A threat can be a national threat, and a threat can be a global threat. So we can categorize threat on the continuum from individual to global. Can we go for the rigid compartmentalization of these threats, that it is an individual threat, it is a regional, and it's a global, or it's a national? No. It is difficult to demarcate threats on these continuum, because a threat which is a national threat, can that threat will going to pose an individual threat also? Yes. All national threats are individual threats or not? One threat which was a global threat became the individual threat also. Example though, you क्या कर रहे हो? Pandemic, COVID, climate change, a global threat which will ultimately going to haunt you also. Now something which is an individual threat or a regional threat can pose threat to the world and the humanity. Example, Israel-Palestine war, Russia-Ukraine war. So if today we are ignoring the sufferings, that is what humanity is. We are traveling on a spaceship, and we are bound to survive and doom together. So if today humanity is ignoring the threat or the sufferings of one set of people, or the suffering of the fellow human being, in future those threats are bound to haunt us also. Okay? Likho. The concept of world society is the क्या लिखा था? Is supported by solidarist scholars, while the idea of international society is the argument. Idea of international society is the argument of pluralist scholars. As it rests on sovereign state. As it rests on sovereign states. Next bullet point. However, as a defender of humankind, पीछे वाला चल रहा है क्या फैन? That fan is on. अच्छा कोई बात नहीं. देखो, however, as a defender of humankind and the protector of human rights. Defender of humankind and a protector of human rights. Sovereign states. Sovereign states have an important place. Sovereign states have an important place in upholding world society. In upholding world society. So in upholding world society, we do need the support from whom? Sovereign states. Next point. According to the scholars of ISS theory, according to the scholars of ISS theory, there is a clear shift from international society to world society. Clear shift from international society to world society. Or in Bull's terminology, from pluralism to solidarism. From pluralism to solidarism, and Bull has suggested that international society based on state sovereignty is not inconsistent with world society. So, who has main role to keep international society intact? Sovereign state. But in ensuring, but towards creating world society and ensuring that the rights of the humans needs to be protected, still states has an important role to play. Okay. So even the concept of world society is not undermining the role of whom? States. That international society based on based on state sovereignty is not inconsistent with the concept of world society based on human rights. As states still have an important role to play. Now revise what all you have written. So we can say the solidarist scholars are, liberals are solidarist in their approach, and realists are pluralist in their approach. Okay. So scholar of ISS theory comes in between. They are more pluralist than solidarist, but their emphasis on human rights, their emphasis on this aspect that objective is to create a world order where the human rights needs to be protected is a clear solidarist inclination in their thought process. ठीक है, पढ़ लो एक बार. क्लियर हुई यहाँ तक बात? थ्योरी क्लियर है? इंटरनेशनल सोसाइटी स्कूल, not the anarchy as predicted by realist prevail, as projected by realist prevail. The world politics has changed with the emergence of norms, rules, and laws under the presence of international institutions and organizations. and system of states has turned to society of state, and now it is anarchical society. ठीक है ना? Which approach this theory is using? Behavioral approach? No. Behavioral used by neo-realist. Okay. They have tried to analyze the structure. Which approach they have used? Traditional, historical, legal, institutional, and philosophical. ठीक है? लिखो. Martin White, another scholar of the school of ISS. Martin White. Right. According to White, there are three different ways of looking. Three different ways of looking at the relations between the states. What kind of relation exists? There are three different ways of looking at the relation between the state. And the theory of ISS is the exploration. We are exploring these three different ways. And the theory of ISS is the exploration of the conversation. Exploration of the conversation between these three different theoretical perspectives. Conversation between these three different theoretical perspectives. That is realism, rationalism, and revolutionarism. Three different ways of looking at the relation between the states. And ISS is the exploration of the conversation between these three different theoretical perspectives. Right? According to the realist perspectives, states are power agencies. States are power agencies, and they will always pursue their own interest. I hope with this much of discussion and with the continuous discussion of this perspective, when the guilt of going for your own self-interest would have vanished from all of you. Now probably you would have stopped listening to this particular criticism of yours that you are selfish. So if your friend probably is telling you that you are selfish, probably you would have started saying it's totally fine, as everyone needs to work for their self-interest. I have to be. They go pursue their own interest. Full stop. This perspective has emphasized. On international anarchy. This perspective has emphasized on international anarchy. And this perspective is based on the ideas of Machiavelli. Based on the idea of Machiavelli. Right. Second perspective, rationalism. According to the second perspective, or according to this perspective, states are legal entities. means state will always going to abide by their norms, rules, regulations. States are legal entities. That is, they will act in accordance with international law.
That is,
they will act in accordance with international law. I think you know this, how wrong this perspective is. And ISS is the exploration of these three perspectives. Canada blaming India of using organized criminal for serving its own interest. When state has to use, state is in hand with those who are involved in organized crime to pursue its interest, so that in future, if someone will get caught, state should not be blamed for that. क्या ही चल रहा है दुनिया में? They act in accordance with international law. And this perspective is based on the idea of Hugo Grotius, father of international law, no? This perspective is based on the ideas of Hugo Grotius. Third perspective, revolutionarism. Right. This perspective downplays the importance of states. Downplays the importance of state and gives more emphasis on humans. More emphasis on humans. That humans are more fundamental than states. Humans are more fundamental than states. And this perspective is based on the ideas of Kant. Based on the idea of Kant. Read the first paragraph according to White. What this theory of ISS is the exploration of the conversation of these three different perspectives. See? Next paragraph. Right? Revolutionarist perspective. Next bullet point, revolutionary perspective is more cosmopolitan. Is more cosmopolitan rather than state-centric. State-centric. And they assume the moral unity of human society. Assume the moral unity of human society. And they aim for changing the world for better. Yeah. Next bullet point after these three perspectives, right? In White's term, there is a clear shift in world politics. White's term, there is a clear shift in world politics from realism to revolutionarism. World politics from realism to revolutionarism. And in Bull's term, from pluralism to solidarism. Okay? From pluralism to solidarism. So when he is giving his views, when they both are giving their views, which led to the emergence of the theory of international society school, in Bull's terminology, we are saying that there's a clear shift from pluralism to solidarism. In White's terminology, we are saying there's a clear shift from realism to revolutionarism. Okay? Box बनाओ एक statecraft and responsibility. Because here you need to know this thing, and from exam point of view, we'll continue this discussion further when we discuss UN. Okay. Statecraft and responsibility. Statecraft and responsibility. What is the first responsibility of the head of the state? What is the first responsibility of the state? To protect its interest, or to work to protect its interest, or to ensure the protection of the humankind? First, we have national responsibility or humanitarian responsibility. Which responsibility is more important over other? National or humanitarian? Do you think we should give weapons to Israel when we are very sure those weapons will going to be used against innocent Palestinians? We have humanitarian responsibility first or national responsibility first?
National.
Statecraft, national, sub national पे आ जाओ, है ना? Realist
So then why did
realist perspective will emphasize on national. Revolutionarist perspective will emphasize on humanitarian. Okay, लिखो. There are 3 different dimensions of responsibility.
Excuse me, sir.
हाँ जी.
So then why did like the Indian Army and Air Force went to Turkey after that?
Realist perspective dominates. So you will say, no, there is no shift of world politics from realism to revolutionarism. Still, which perspective dominates? Realist perspective, not revolutionarist perspective. So realist will say which perspective still is intact and prevail? Realist. Liberals will say which perspective dominates and prevail? Rationalist. But ISS is saying there is a clear tilt from realism to revolutionarism. There are 3 different dimensions of responsibility. So it is as simple as this, that you are human first or Indian first. You're human first or Indian first? Human. So first, as an officer, as a person, what should be your first priority? That your responsibility lies towards fellow human being or your responsibility towards your country? No, so humanitarian responsibility first. So let's say a scientist who is working in, or a medical science researcher working in one of the Chinese lab comes to know about the devious plan of the communist leaders of China, that they are looking forward for a biological warfare and going for genetic virus. What is your responsibility? To leak this information in front of the world community, or be hand in hand with the devious plan of the communist leaders of China? And someone who leaked the sensitive documents of the US government, that the world internet is under the surveillance of the US. Who did that? Snowden. And Snowden has been charged, and the US Department of Justice has framed the charges of what against him? Terrorism, that he has leaked national secrets. But you are seeing him as a terrorist or a whistleblower? The one man's whistleblower is the terrorist for other. So you are working in the sensitive government department of India and leak the state secrets to ensure your humanitarian responsibility. That day you will become what? Indian terrorist. Okay. Huh? That's what. No, official secret. And even you can't leak those secrets after retirement because you are bound by the oath. Okay, na? Because you have worked in such a sensitive position. So you cannot leak even those secrets after retirement. You're bound under the Official Secret Act. Likho. There are 3 different dimensions of responsibility, which corresponds to above 3 theoretical perspective. 3 different dimensions of responsibility, which corresponds to above 3 theoretical perspective. First, national responsibility. सबसे बड़ी देश से ऊपर कुछ नहीं, ठीक है ना? That is national responsibility. That is devotion to one's own nation. मर जाओ देश के लिए. That is devotion to one's own nation. And this dimension of responsibility, रेडियो मरने के लिए देश के लिए, this dimension of responsibility, probably before preparing for UPSC, now during the preparation itself, your thought would have changed after studying marks. देश के लिए कौन मरेगा, huh? And this dimension of responsibility comes out of realist perspective. देश के लिए मरना मतलब किसके लिए मरना? अंबानी के लिए, ठीक है? And this dimension, आप क्या कहोगे खड़े होके बॉर्डर पे अगर आपको भेज दें, अंबानी के बेटों को भेजो तब हम मरेंगे, है ना? Why I should die for them, for serving the interest of the capitalists? That's why soldiers are not being taught whom marks. क्योंकि अगर soldiers को marks पढ़ा दिया तो मरेगा कौन? They will not fight war. ठीक है ना? They'll come back. They will say, capitalists and the businessmen, you go and fight. ठीक है ना? We'll take care of the business. And this dimension of responsibility comes out of realist perspective. है ना? इसलिए 12th के बाद आर्मी ज्वाइन करवा देते हैं कि ज्यादा पढ़ लिए तो लड़ेंगे नहीं है, ठीक है? यही रीजन है 12th के बाद एनडीए और अब अग्निवीर ले आए. दिस इज द रीजन, बिकॉज इफ दे विल स्टडी मोर एंड दैट टू ह्यूमैनिटीज, दैट टू पॉलिटिकल साइंस, they will not fight. They need to learn warfare, not politics. And this dimension of responsibility comes out of realist perspective, national responsibility. Second is international responsibility. That is the respect for the rights of other states. That is the respect for the rights of other states. And this dimension of responsibility comes out of which perspective? Rationalist perspective. Legal rights है ना, Hugo Grotius, international law follow करो, ठीक है ना? And this dimension of responsibility comes out of rationalist perspective, respect for law. कौन कर रहा है? पुतिन कर रहा है? Xi Jinping, US president, Israel prime minister, Indian prime minister, कौन कर रहा है? International law follow, हाँ? ठीक है, हाँ, थोड़ा बहुत. Then last is humanitarian responsibility. That is the respect for human rights. किम जोंग अपनी देश की सड़क उड़ाए बैठा है, ठीक है ना? Humanitarian responsibility, the respect for human rights. And this responsibility comes out of revolutionarist perspective. Human rights को सबसे ज्यादा preference देंगे. This is under statecraft and responsibility, right? Humanitarian responsibility and the issues of war will continue under the topic of UN. ठीक है ना, जो एग्जाम के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है. Humanitarian responsibility and the issues of war.
सर ये
will
नया
continue-
टॉपिक है.
अरे करेंगे, will continue under the topic of UN later. अभी थ्योरीज कर रहे हैं ना, इसका इस डायमेंशन को कंटिन्यू करेंगे यूएन में. कैन यूएनएससी इंटरवीन विद इन द स्टेट? कैन यूएनएससी इंटरवीन विद इन द स्टेट ऑन द नेम ऑफ ह्यूमैनिटेरियन रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी? बिकॉज इट विल अंडरमाइन sovereignty. Can UNSC decide to send its forces, UN forces in Kashmir, blaming Indian government for human rights violations there? So this dimension we will discuss under the topic of UN. What all UNSC can do and what exactly is the principle of R2P, responsibility to protect. So here we are done with the theory of ISS. So the point where I said that this much is important from exam point of view, rest all is a bit more information for all of you, okay? Because this perspective comes under the topic of UN. And in White's terminology, you should be able to write in your exam that in White's terminology, international politics is drifting from realism to revolutionarism, and Bull's terminology from pluralist to solidarist. इतना आप लिख सकते हो conclusion में, ठीक है? A quick glance of what all you have written. Before we start with the fourth theory of ours, very, very, very important from mains point of view, that is IPE. ठीक है ना? IPE stands for International Political Economy. Fourth theory of IR. Fourth theory. पहले एक बार रिवाइज कर लो. Hanji, any question from the theory of ISIL? For sure. और कुछ? Coffee? हाँ? कोई डाउट? नहीं? बेटा जब मेंस लिखने जाओगे ना, ये जो हार्ड वर्क कर रहे हो यहाँ पे, ये याद आ जाएगा, ठीक? जो हालात है ना सेंटर्स के, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया जो सेंटर्स देगी, आईएएस वाली फीलिंग बनने के बाद ही आएगी. Till the time you will keep giving your till the time you are giving your interview, you will not feel like coaching time is the most luxurious time in the life of an aspirant. Hardship will start after that, and the day you will go for your first pre and your first mains, you probably can feel I'm really aspiring for IS. Okay, the kind of center and the facilities you will get there. Okay. Any doubt? Any question?
Excuse me, sir.
हाँ बोलो.
Sir, so pretty basic doubt, but sir, I'm not able to understand how ISS is tilted towards realism, because even though we in certain assumptions it agrees, but then it seems to be more tilted towards
Everywhere it is more tilted towards realism. The word anarchical society itself reflects their tilt towards the realism. Anarchy word is in the terminology of whom? Realism.
ISS. Oh,
So they're
realism.
saying, yes, anarchical society is there, but there are some norms, rules, and regulations. Who has created these norms, rules, and regulations? International institutions. So parallelly giving importance to the liberal terminology and liberal point of view. It's a midway in between the two.
So like when we were discussing
Complex
Martin White
interdependence.
also, there.
Complex interdependence is realism into liberalism. ISS is liberalism into realism.
So like even for Martin White, we were discussing that we are transitioning towards revolutionarism, and even for Bull that we are transitioning more towards solidarism. So
Transition,
there,
everywhere it is transition. But
yes,
still,
sir.
this transition, in this transition, who is more important for the scholars of ISS? State.
But sir, states are important for all conventional approaches, right? Not only
State.
realism.
Yes. States are important for all. But still, which element is more important? Power or law? Power. UN reflects the UN reflect this UN reflect that both are important, but still 5 major powers decided to keep veto intact. Yesterday also I told you, UNSC as an organ is a clear reflection of what? Power politics. General Assembly is a reflection of what? Legal equality. Okay, na? So this clearly reflects states have not come out of their power politics. So there are signs of society, but what kind of society is there? Anarchical society. Okay. International Political Economy, IPE. In most of the books which covers your theory of IR, only Marxist perspective is being covered on IPE. You can understand what Marxist perspective will be, that realist has overemphasized on security, on power. Liberals has overemphasized on interdependence. In fact, they have ignored the issues of inequality, disparities. Okay, anarchy is more threatening, or inequality and disparities are more threatening, according to them. So Marxist perspective is the clear analysis of world economy from the perspective of Marx. And this perspective is only being covered. But we're going to do 3 perspectives under the theory of IPE. And if you have to write in general an exam on the theory of IPE, you will going to give more weightage to the Marxist perspective, but in reference, you will also write the first 2 perspectives, that is the mercantilist perspective and liberal perspective. ठीक है ना, ये 3 perspective याद रखने हमें, mercantilist, liberal and Marxist perspective. So it is politics who in politics influence economics, or it is economics which influences politics? There is a circle. World politics is geopolitics or geoeconomics? Why China is so assertive for its control over South China Sea? What? South China Sea is being tagged as the next Persian Gulf, full of hydrocarbon sources. Geopolitics is going on in Arctic region. What is the reason for the tilt of politics in the Arctic region? Melting of ice caps, new technology has made it possible to extract methane hydrate, which has been tagged as a future fuel. So whole geopolitics of Arctic is because of what? Geoeconomics. Why Russia? Why China's assertion? China asserting so much for its political acquisition of Taiwan. And why US is so worried that Taiwan should not come under the political control of China? You know the reason. Because China will able to change the rules of geoeconomics, which will change the world order. So it's all about what? Economics. That is why the scholars of this school, their belief is that IPE should itself be an independent subject, not a theory of IR. Because ultimately, world politics is basically what? Geoeconomics. ठीक है ना? So पहले तो ये बना लो आप. Political power regulates. Does politics influence economics? Yes. The left will be in power, right will be in power. It will change the economic policies of the state or not? India liberalized its economy in 90s because of the crisis. ठीक है ना? So political power regulates economy, and economy creates the basis for and affects the political power. बना लिया ये? लिखो. Politics and economics interacts. Economics interacts in a complicated way. What is one of the main
Sir, can
reasons
you
for?
repeat again?
What is one of the main reasons for the Second World War? What led to Second World War? Treaty of Versailles. Those who are done with world history and has done history during your graduation days. Anyone from the history background? History background. What led to the Second World War? Honors, history honors. Very good. What led to Second World War? Let's test your many reasons. What is the main reason? If we have to consider what is the most important reason out of all. Great economic depression. 1929, great economic depression, economic crisis. What led to the rise of right wing in India, especially in 2014, PM Modi came to power. So much of corruption of the policy paralysis, corruption in the Congress government. Okay. So whenever there will be crisis in the economy, you will see the rise of whom? Nationalists. Okay. Great economic depression led to the rise of right wing in Europe. And clearly you can see at present, as world is going through an economic crisis, especially COVID has hit the world badly. Parallelly, you can see the rise of what? Right wing. Yeah, there's a clear phenomenon. Politics and economics interact in a complicated manner. Politics and economics interact in a complicated manner. And this complex interplay, between the state and the market interplay between the state and the market is the core of the theory of IPE. Core of the theory of IPE. Market controlled economy is known as market controlled. नहीं, market controlled. Open market होगा ना. Market controlled, where market is being forces of demand and supply. Market is being controlled by the state. This is which kind of economy?
Socialist.
Socialist economy, na, closed economy, market controlled economy. ठीक है ना? When market is free, demand and supply will decide or will derive the economy. This is open economy, capitalist economy. क्या कर रहे हो? Market controlled economy, laissez-faire. लिखो. Core of IPE. Next bullet point. Within IPE, there are three views. Market is the king. Market fundamentalism. Who supports this? Neoliberal. Neoliberals. ठीक है? Within IPE, there are three views. First, view of mercantilist. View of mercantilist. Second, view of liberals. When we say it was British imperial governments follow the policy of mercantilism towards the colonies, what it means?
Exploitation of resources.
But what it means when the East India Company was pursuing the policy of mercantilism towards India, what it means? Explain in words what it means. They used to but they used to do what? Or back in Indian market, maintain positive balance of trade. Mercantilist policies means cheap imports, raw materials. ठीक है ना? And export processed goods. ठीक है? Also very high import duties, and import duties where? Within the European market, within the British market, so that no goods from India will make its way to the European market. Okay. And very less of what? Very less import duties in India. Okay. This will become what? Mercantilist policies of East India Company. That is to maintain positive balance of trade. That they should have very less import and they should export a lot. ठीक है ना? View of mercantilist, liberals, and view of Marxist. So within IPE, in the theory of IPE, there are three views: mercantilist, liberals, and Marxist. And within Marxist, we have three views. Traditional Marxist. अगर IPE आ गया 15 to 20 marks लिखने में, तो सब कुछ लिख के आना. Within Marxist, there are three views. That is traditional Marxist, Gramscian perspective, Gramscian perspective, and third, critical perspective. I hope you remember Marx work is divided into young Marx and mature Marx. Followers of mature Marx are orthodox Marxists. Young Marx are neo-Marxists. Within neo-Marxists, we have two types: structural Gramscian and critical Frankfurt School. So traditional Marxist and neo-Marxist. Within neo-Marxist, we have Gramscian perspective and critical perspective. Okay, na? So within IPE, we have three views: mercantilist, liberal, and Marxist. And within Marxist, we have three perspectives, right? Next paragraph. The theories of realism, theory of realism and liberalism deals with the issues of war and peace. एक वॉर में डील कर रहा है, एक पीस में डील कर रहा है, डील्स विद द इश्यूज ऑफ वॉर एंड पीस, कॉमा conflict and cooperation between the states. Conflict and cooperation between the states. Realism deals in war, conflict, and liberalism, peace, cooperation. Full stop. However, the theory of IPE, ये पूरा dimension बदल रही है. However, the theory of IPE shifts our attention. Shifts our attention to the issues of wealth. ये किसके पास है? ये तो रियलिज्म और लिबरलिज्म चेक ही नहीं कर रहा. Concentration of wealth is one of the biggest threat or bigger challenge for the world or not? ये हम बात ही नहीं कर रहे realism, liberalism, ISS. So this theory is shifting our attention towards new issues or not? Yes, ठीक है ना? Shifts our attention to the issues of wealth and poverty. भाई war किसके इंटरेस्ट में है? Those who hold wealth and poverty, and to who gets what, in international system. To who gets what in international system? किसको क्या मिल रहा है? नोबल किसको मिल रहा है? For economy. Okay, those who are saying where we have vibrant democracy, ठीक है ना? And to who gets what in international system. Who is getting Nobel for economy? Those who are recommending democracy. Gramscian perspective will take a stand that it is ideological domination, hegemony. ठीक है? लिखो next bullet point. Some sections even argue that IPE is the most comprehensive discipline of IR. IPE is the most comprehensive discipline of IR. And IR should subsequently to be seen as a subfield of IPE. IR should be seen as a subfield of IPE. ठीक है ना? इतना comprehensive है IPE, ये एक पूरा subject होना चाहिए, full-fledged subject और discipline. ठीक है ना? Rather than studying the subject of international politics, there should be a subject that is international political economy. ठीक है ना? Next bullet point.
सर
However,
एक डाउट था, तो ये तो
बोलो।
डायरेक्टली हिसाब से तो यही बोलना चाह रहा है, लाइक आईपी सजेस्टिंग दैट द मार्क्सिस्ट व्यू इज कंप्लीटली दैट इज ओनली द राइट थिंग एंड इट एंगल्स ऑल ऑफ आईआर.
अभी तो स्टार्ट किया, आप कंक्लूजन पर आ गए.
नहीं, मैं सर पूछ रहा था जितना सर
अभी तो स्टार्ट किया है. ठीक है ना? देखो, however, political scientists are against this tendency. Political scientists are against this tendency. जो बेचारे ग्रेजुएशन पॉलिटिकल साइंस में कर रहे हैं, मास्टर्स कर रहे हैं और पीएचडी कर रहे हैं, ये थ्योरी तो उनके, it is saying that you don't have any work to do. Okay, because whose work is more important? Economists. Okay, so everyone should study economy rather than political science. Okay? Political scientists are against this tendency to reduce politics. Political scientists are against this tendency to reduce politics. as a branch of economy. As a branch of economy. As French President Charles de Gaulle, चार्ल्स की स्पेलिंग लिख लोगे, डिगॉल की इंटरनेट पे चेक कर लेना, ठीक है ना, DIGOLE, फ्रेंच प्रेसिडेंट चार्ल्स डिगॉल. DIGOLE, ये है भी चार्ल्स डिगॉल. ओके, said that economic affairs, are the issues of low politics. अभी हमने in which theory we have discussed this aspect, that strategic issues, functionalism, that economic affairs are the issues of DEGAULLE, Charles D. Gaulle, GAULLE. He said that issues of economics are issues of that economic issues are the issues of low politics, while political issues are the issues of high politics. Political issues are the issues of high politics. Now, first, view of mercantilist. लिखो, the view of mercantilist or the outlook of mercantilist. The outlook of mercantilist is much in common with realist scholars. So, in fact, कुछ books, there are few books who use the word realist view rather than mercantilist view. Okay, the outlook of the mercantilist is much in common with the realist scholars. So, mercantilism is a economic policy. So, realist will emphasize on which kind of economic policy? Mercantilist economic policy. That state should go for import substitutions, Atmanirbharta. And who is recommending India to become Atmanirbhar? The present right wing in India. So, realist will emphasize which kind of economic policy for the state? Mercantilist economic policy. Okay? The outlook of the mercantilist is much in common with realist scholars, as according to them, the economy of the state, should be used. Economy of the state should be used to serve the national interest. Used to serve the national interest and for building a strong state. For building a strong state. Full stop. Wealth should be controlled by the state. Wealth should be controlled by the state. Full stop. This statist view, is often referred to as economic nationalism. Economic nationalism means economy to be used to serve the interest of state. Right? Mercantilist believes mercantilists believe that smooth functioning of free market. देखो, wealth to be controlled by the state takes mercantilists close to whom? Wealth to be controlled by the state takes mercantilists close to whom? Marxist. Wealth to be controlled by state. But what separates them from Marxists? They are the supporter of free economy. Okay. Because mercantilists believe that smooth functioning of free market, depends on the political power. Free market depends on political power. And according to mercantilist, without a hegemonic power, there cannot be a liberal world economy. So what is their belief? Liberal world economy requires a global hegemon. Without hegemonic power, there cannot be a liberal world economy. In bracket लिख लो, will continue this view further under HST, hegemonic stability theory. ये syllabus में लिखी हुई भी नहीं है. It is not written in the syllabus. Every year I am teaching this with a doubt. Why? Because not written in the syllabus. 2 years before, a full-fledged question came on HST. Okay? You never know, because it is clearly linked to the view of mercantilist. Rather than asking IPE, UPSC asks the question on HST, hegemonic stability theory. So what this belief, the belief of the mercantilist is, world free economy in the world will only work if we have a hegemon. And since 91, there emerged a hegemony of US. And we have seen a lot of push towards globalization, that is towards free economy. So this free economy strengthen in the world under the presence of whom? US. Belief of whom? The scholars of HST. US hegemony has come under threat. As US hegemony has come under threat, we are seeing a lot of hiccups towards what? Towards strengthening of free economy, as countries are tilting towards what? Protectionism. We are seeing a reverse trend in globalization. Why? The scholars will say because US no longer commands the same hegemony. Okay. So this is the belief of the scholars of HST. Without a global hegemon, we'll never be able to create a free economic system in the world. How? We'll discuss. Lico, next bullet point. Mercantilist scholars subordinates economy to politics. And according to them, the objective of economic activity is to increase state power. Economic activity is to increase state power. Full stop. According to mercantilist, economic dependence on others should be avoided. Atmanirbhar. So realist leaders will emphasize on which kind of economic policy? Mercantilist policy. Economic dependence on others should be avoided. and wherever economic and security interest will clash, then wherever economic and security interest will clash, security interest should have priority. Security interest should have priority. Just a quick glance of the view of mercantilist. What kind of economic policy they are recommending a state should follow. Then come the view of liberals. What liberals have to say. Right, the outlook of the liberals is different from mercantilist. Liberals is different from mercantilist. And almost exactly opposite to Marxist. Liberals' view is different from mercantilist, but totally opposite to Marxist. Next bullet point, liberals believe that human prosperity can be achieved by the global expansion of capitalism. By the global expansion of capitalism. Full stop. They believe in free market economy. So do you think liberals will believe that free market economy requires hegemon? No, they will say it will be in the interest of all the countries. So countries will themselves be motivated to work towards the creation of free market economy. Mercantilists believe for free market economy we need hegemon, and Marxists believe free market economy is in the interest of capitalist. समझ गए बात? ठीक है? They believe in free market economy, private property and individual freedom. Property and individual freedom. Do mercantilists believe in private property? Yes, but according to them, state can take whenever state feel it is required for serving the national interest. For Marxists, there should not be any private property. Okay? And individual freedom. Next bullet point. In their view, international capitalism is an instrument of progressive change. International capitalism is an instrument of progressive change for all the countries. For all the countries, regardless of their level of development. Regardless of their level of development. पढ़ो ये line दोबारा. And where we discuss the instrumentalist dependency school, and one of the scholar, Wallerstein, what Wallerstein said? That international capitalism will be in the interest of whom? Core. and who will suffer more? Periphery. But this, they believe that it is in the interest of all. Okay? Full stop. Though liberals are aware, of the need of legal framework. Underline this. Aware of the need of legal framework as the basis of smooth functioning of economy. As the basis of the smooth functioning of economy. So mercantilists believe what is required for smooth functioning of economy? Hegemon. They believe what? Legal framework like WTO. ठीक है ना? We need institutions, we need legal framework. Next bullet point. Right. While classical economic liberals view the role of the state as that of leaving the market alone. Leaving the market alone. That is laissez-faire. Laissez-faire. Economic policy. Classical liberals view the role of the state as that of leaving the market alone, that is laissez-faire, including international market. Including international market. However, welfare or positive economic liberals favors the involvement of state in marketplace. वो complete laissez-faire नहीं कहते. Welfare or positive liberal favors the involvement of state in marketplace. ठीक है ना? फिर हमारे अब कौन से आ गए थे? Neoliberals. They stand for market fundamentalism. And we have seen since 2008 financial crisis challenge to neoliberalism itself, which led to the emergence of World Social Forum. Okay. So within IP, two perspective, mercantilist and liberal. Tomorrow we'll continue our discussion with Marxist perspective. Okay. हाँ जी, इसे बंद कर दो. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं हम कह रहे. Mercantilists demand economy to be used to serve the interest of the state. Economy, mercantilists will say that state should control economy and state needs to make sure that the economic policy is being framed. It is to serve your interest. So within the state, within the domestic sphere, they will support privatization. Okay, but they will try to pursue predatory practices in dealing with other states. Like China artificially devaluating its currency is a kind of mercantilist policy. ये term use भी किया ट्रम्प ने, that China by artificially devaluating its currency is pursuing a mercantilist policy, because artificial devaluation has made Chinese exports costlier. It is in the interest of its exporters, and China is now one of the major export-oriented economy. This is the thing. You know? So mercantilists will go for such policies which will serve the interest of the state. ठीक है ना? So we want the currency to be, we want that currency's values to be market driven, not state driven. Who will try to manipulate the value of the currency? Mercantilist. ठीक?
Yes,
We'll
So by
continue our
which,
discussion. हाँ जी.
so by which month will we be able to complete our course? Like around time
यार ये
next.
कैसा क्वेश्चन है? कहाँ जाना है तुझे? अब्रॉड जा रहा है, सेटल हो रहा है वहाँ पे?
नहीं sir, वो.
इतनी सारी circumstances which are going beyond control. You want me to give you the date and the month, hopefully by mid-Jan. By mid of Jan, and from November onwards, your test series will start. Okay? इसे जल्दी करना है? कहाँ जाना है? वापस? इसे जल्दी नहीं हो पाएगा. ठीक है ना? I guess the pace on which we are going is totally fine. जब June batch, when batch used to start in June, then also I used to then also I have finished many times in mid of Jan. Your batch started in July, and in between also we have faced so many hiccups. So if we'll be able to wind it up by 15th or 20th of Jan, it itself will be the great thing to achieve, that I'm able to finish your batch timely by 15th or 20th of Jan. ठीक है? कल करते हैं इसके आगे.